een goede dag toegewenst vanuit het Tropeninstituut. Er wordt hier al een week worden er Ghana video movies vertoond. En RAZO, bij u bekend als een multicultureel station, is in haar stal gaan kijken. En uit die stal komt natuurlijk de organisatie van RAZO. De persoon meest aangewezen om het interview met de 4 producers te doen is mijn collega Kwesi Fletcher. Kwesi, welcome.
Thank you, MJ.
Welcome. And thank you for cooperating with us. And it was very nice of you, because when I asked you to do the interview, you said from the first moment of, yes, I'll do it.
For purposes of multicultural.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm going to give the mic to you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, MJ. And viewers, welcome to this special interview on Ghanaian video movies. It has become possible by courtesy of Tropical Institute Theatre here in Amsterdam. And it all started with Dr. Bridget Meyer from the University of Amsterdam. She is with the Research Center Religion and Society. And she, 4 years ago, was in Ghana and found an interesting scene, and that's about Ghanaian movies. And she calls them popular Ghanaian cinema. She began a research into it, and the result of it is what we see here today as a film festival here in Amsterdam. Of course, back home in Ghana, Ghanaian movies are very common and popular, but they may not sound very popular and common with the Dutch community. But somehow we have about 4 popular filmmakers from Ghana, and that is the reason why we're here. We're going to have an interview with them, and I think that this will be a good start for all of us who are interested in things of multicultural nature. Well, we are privileged to have here some of the filmmaking personalities that we talked about, and on my immediate right is Mr. Seth Ashon-Katai. Mr. Seth Ashon-Katai is a film writer and a film director with the former Ghana Film Industry Corporation, now Gamma Film Company, and he has also been working with some of the private producers in Ghana, and we found it wise to have him here as far as this film festival is concerned. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
I also have Hammond Mensah, and popularly called HM. In fact, HM is a household name in Ghana as far as Ghanaian popular movie is concerned, and he has a lot of films to his credit, and he has won quite a few number of awards for his films and for himself, and he's also here with us. HM, welcome.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Ashon, in the first place, we have had the opportunity to witness some of the films made by Ghanaians here in Holland, a very unusual phenomenon for the first time in the history of the world. And tell us how you feel about the festival as it all started.
Well, the festival has been very eye-opening. You know, when you stay away in your part of the world, you wouldn't actually appreciate that what you have could be taken in by people on the other side of the world. Like we are here in Amsterdam now, and we've had a very successful festival because the attendance has been good, and the interaction between the audiences and the films that they saw had been like home in Ghana. So I can say that it's not that Ghanaians react in the cinema houses, but it's the films that they see that motivate them, and it's these same films which are motivating the people of Amsterdam and The Hague to interact with the screen as they watch our Ghanaian movies.
Yeah, but quickly tell us about the reaction of the public to the film and the attendance.
The attendance has been tremendous. You know, with such festivals, especially when it's something like culturally oriented and is placed in museums, people don't usually go. It becomes something for just a class of people who are into research
for intellectual reasons.
Yeah, for intellectual reasons mostly. But here you can see that the cross section of people are coming. It's getting people even introduced to the work of the Tropical Museum, and it's making people interact. People of all strata of society interact very well with what they are seeing. The rooms have been filled most of the time, and there have been always hearty discussions after their movies. Even when everybody is gone, we stay around and people come and chat about the films. They talk aesthetically.
Yeah.
You know, people speak like they are writing critiques already about the films that they've seen. And it's very
they had the chance to do so.
Yes.
Yes. Dr. Bridget Meyer calls these videos that we have from Ghana, she calls them popular Ghanaian cinema. And I think that she knows what she's talking about. But HM, tell us, how popular are these films, especially in Ghana?
Okay, thank you. When you say popular films in Ghana, you know, back in the early 80s, Ghanaian public were only used to foreign films. But when it got a time that they realized that they wanted to watch films that they can relate to, films that they can see themselves with, films that they can use it as a mirror to their life, they become addicted to it. At any time the films are put on screen, there are a whole lot of queue, everybody's putting in pressure to just go and have a look at it.
And let's talk about your presence here as one of the producers. And one of your films we had on exhibition was I Surrender. And why did you choose to exhibit I Surrender here?
I chose to exhibit it I Surrender because I Surrender has a little bit of a foreign touch.
Oh, great. So then you wanted to blend a culture of back home in Ghana and then that here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, but we realized that a lot of people, especially the audience that saw I Surrender, were really grateful for that piece of thing they saw. And one of the things that came out of I Surrender was that women were given the leading role. Why?
I personally felt there was a need to expose the woman because we felt the men had sat on the woman for too long, and we've come too far that we felt there was a need to give the woman the chance also to show what is in them.
Yeah, that's great. Seth Ashonkata, in fact, we popularly call you Shevinsky. I don't know where you got that name.
Well, my friends like you imposed it upon me.
Okay, we saw one of your films, Cry for Love, and which was quite touchy. And one of the things we realized was that most of these Ghanaian films have quite a slow pace, and they are quite also long. Why is it so?
Ghanaians, you know, I believe that every story dictates how it should be told, especially when you are telling stories to your own people. If you could look at it from the traditional perspective, you see that our Anansi stories are told with people interacting to it. You know, I believe that with the stories that we tell, every scene should be properly constructed. There should be a beginning and an end, and the scene should be structured in such a way that people could interact with it. And the total structure of the film, as you would see, is like well-told situations, like a chain which goes on to the end. And with every situation, you could see that people will be empathized with every scene. People will be empathizing, reacting to it, and so on. Such a story, you don't need to rush through the scenes. You have to tell it properly. Until your story is told, you shouldn't stop.
Yeah,
you know, and I think that's the attitude we took in structuring that film.
It's obvious that people are more concerned about things close to them than things far away, and especially things they see in everyday situations, when they see them on screens, then they want to identify with this.
Yes.
But tell us the difference as a film director and a script writer. The difference. I know you have also participated in a lot of international conferences on films. The difference between the Ghanaian popular movies and the ones we see from Hollywood and other places.
The Ghanaian film, let's drop the word popular for the moment.
Okay.
The Ghanaian film is aimed at the Ghanaian public, and the story is told for the Ghanaian public to react to, interact with. So as Ghanaians, we have our own way of life, the way we see the world, our own worldview. And I believe that every artist produces his stories from within himself. Every film reflects the consciousness of the people who make the films. And as a Ghanaian people, you will see that our films reflect our way of life, the way we see the world. We see superstition as somehow partial reality in our lives. We talk about witches. When we say, oh, you are a witch, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are a witch, but it means that your actions affect people very adversely. So we, the filmmakers, may use witches and magic and so on in our stories. These are icons of the personalities who negatively affect our society. And you can see the godly aspect too, where people talk about Jesus, talk about angels, talk about priests, which are also symbolic of the good-natured people in our society.
And in fact, among all the films that I've seen, in the end, the powers of God overshadow the powers of evil, which we normally call witches and witchcraft, I should say.
Yeah, we cannot leave hanging ends.
Yeah.
We cannot give ourselves to ends which hang, like maybe many Western European films do. You should tell your story from the beginning to the end, and in the end it should be clear where the truth lies, whether evil has overcome good or good has overcome evil. But in our society, if you make it that evil has overcome good, you will be the only one who would be patronizing your own film.
That's great. That means that the Ghanaian audience has a certain orientation, that it must go this way. And probably, I'm sure this also dictates for some of the producers what actually to put on the screen for them. But HM, tell us how long it takes to produce a particular Ghanaian film, probably write the story, edit, and then screenplay, everything together. How long it takes to come out with a complete film?
You can actually particularly say 1 month or 2 months. I believe it depends the individual script. One is working on it at a particular time. Like a film like I Surrender, you were talking about, it took us almost a year because there were a whole lot of things that went into it. You needed time. Certain times you have to go back and reshoot and make sure you are certified with the material you've got. So it depends the type of story and the way you want to shoot the film.
No, but the name HM is now very popular with Ghanaian film audiences. But how did it all start? How did HM become a household name?
Okay, HM became household. I would say out of the good work we were doing, because I can assure you all the 16 films that we've shot so far were all hits. They were all box office.
Okay. When and how did you shoot your first film?
Okay.
I want to know how you entered into the business.
I entered into the film production somewhere in '93. We shot our first film, Double Cross. It went on and on.
How did your first film do?
It was great. It also had the box office.
I really like you when you say box office, because anytime you say box office, you
see, the point is, you see, like my colleague was saying, Ghanaians has a different way of understanding their culture.
Yeah.
Ghanaians, I would say, that it's a very Christian country, yeah. And we have followed the trends, so we always try and marry the tradition and then the gospel, and I believe that is what is also reflecting our standard. We make sure the films are more educating than the entertaining.
Great. Seth, the Ghanaian films, as we're talking about, are shot on video, and on a more serious note, and technically speaking, you have been working with celluloid and now you're working with video. How easy or difficult is it to work with video, and that in relation to that of the celluloid?
You know, the result of shooting with video is immediate. The celluloid would have to go through some processing, but I can say that's the difference. So also you can talk about the format, that celluloid is big screen and video is the TV format, or the TV screen format, or 16mm format. But apart from that, one could say that celluloid is like painting with oil, and then video is like working with watercolor. What matters is whether you are an artist or you are not an artist, whether you are a filmmaker or you are not a filmmaker. You know, if you are working in this medium and you are an artist, you see to it that you give your whole self to the work that you are doing, so that in the end the outcome could speak well about you. Because in filmmaking they say you are as good as your last film. You know, it doesn't matter whether you've done the good work before, or no matter how many times you've done good works. If your last film is bad, you are finished. You know, so you are an artist, whether you are working with video or you are working with celluloid. And those of my colleagues who have refused to work with celluloid would have themselves to blame.
To work with video?
To refuse to work with video would have themselves to blame, because they may not be businessmen to know how to get funds to shoot on celluloid. Yeah. Getting funds to shoot on celluloid is very difficult. And since they can't do that, and they are like me and they believe they are artists, they should come out and practice their art. Me, even if I get charcoal to shoot films with, I will use it.
Great.
To shoot.
Yeah. HM, apart from its entertainment value, the Ghanaian video or the video movie, I'm sure also has some business orientations. And tell us first about the cost of production for a particular Ghanaian movie.
That is what I earlier on said. It depends on the type of script one is treating. I would say my last film, which I shot before we came down for this festival, Destiny, costed me almost 35 million.
Million cities.
Million cities.
Okay. Which is about 25,000 guilders. Okay.
So, well, everybody and the way he goes about it. There are other films that you may even need to spend 2 times of what I spent.
Oh, okay. Viewers, we also have in the house Mr. William Akufu. He happened to be the pioneer for this Ghanaian movies that we were talking about. He was the first person ever to shoot a film on video. And we also have in the house Akwete Kain, Ashiagbo Akwete Kain, very difficult names anyway. He's also a very progressing producer, and he has a lot of films to his credit. One of his films, Namisha, is being shown here, and we have also had the opportunity to see The Reward by Mr. William Akufu. Shortly, we talk to them. But before then, Seth Ashonkatai, your last word on this very special interview.
I see this process as one of building bridges. It's some kind of establishing relationship between Ghana and Holland. Though it was started by Dr. Brigitte Meyer, she's doing it for the Dutch people, and our presence here is for our Ghanaian people. And this shouldn't be. And then once the bridge is built, like we've exhibited our films and people have come, we know it's a great beginning which will be continuing until God do us part.
So God do us part. That sounds like a wedding statement. Anyway, I come to you, HM. I know you have been very, very happy being here, and you have had a lot of people talking to you, because a lot of people have heard about you, HM, and never seen you, and now they're seeing you in an interview. What is your final word?
It has been very great. We are very grateful to them, especially the Tropping Institute, Dr. Bridget, and everybody who contributed to the success of this program. It's been so nice. It's like my colleague is saying, we pray that this should be the beginning, it shouldn't be the end.
Yeah, because then it has also been a very good beginning, because things normally don't start this way. In fact, they start worse than this, but this has been very successful. I'm sure Dr. Brigitte Meyer, if she's watching this program, might be very, very happy about it. Well, we're going to talk to William and Ashagbo Akotekine, but thank you very much, Seth and HM, for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Well, with me again are, first to my right, Mr. William Akufu, and he happens to be the pioneer of this whole issue of popular Ghanaian movie that we're talking about, to quote the words of Dr. Brigitte Meyer. And he has been a film exhibitor and a film distributor from the beginning, and he happened to be the first person ever to shoot film on video in Ghana. And to my immediate left also we have Ashagbo Akotekine. He is a very young producer in the industry, and he's quite progressing and making a lot of hits here and there. His latest film, which we saw also in this festival, Namisha, is still on exhibition. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
First to you, Mr. William Akufu, the pioneer of Ghanaian movie or Ghanaian video films. How did it all start?
Thank you. I think we started just like any other country by producing a few celluloid films, first with black and white, and then later with color. But as our governments changed hands and our economy got bad, we shifted from this celluloid because we couldn't afford making them. We didn't have that much money. So as a distributor, like he rightly said, I had a number of celluloid films which I was giving out to people, but these films became shorter and shorter, because if you know the system of celluloid is rubber and it runs through iron, so gradually the sprocket holes worn out and you have to splice and join them. So eventually films that could run for 90 minutes were now running for 40 minutes. So the story becomes actually disjointed. And since it's still rubber running through iron, which is a projector, you have a lot of scratches on the faces of the people. So I saw a few of these films and said, no, people were still watching them because there was nothing for them to watch. And I was privileged to have seen a video screen. And I thought if you shot something on video and projected it as big as I saw it, people would still accept it as cinema. So I approached the professionals, and their reaction was, no. If you are talking film, it has to be celluloid, and the minimum you can shoot is 16 millimeter. So I don't know. 60 millimeter was still quite expensive because you still have to take it abroad for processing. So I just took up a video camera, VHS video camera, and shot a full-length feature film, which I saw presented to them with a video projector, which they call popular beamer, and they weren't prepared to know because
which film was that? What's the name of it?
That was Zinabu.
Great.
They weren't still prepared to know, so I said okay. They had a chain of theaters which don't allow these videos to be shown in. So I had to go and rent a private theater and exhibit this film. Made sure I got there earlier and sort of camouflage the beamer in front, because unlike now that the beamers can be hanged, those days they were quite bulky and they have to be put on the ground to be able to project on the screen. So I rented one, put it in front of the screen and camouflage it, make it look like an altar also, so that people will not actually know where the thing is being projected from. Connected wires and took the player, the video player, into the projection room and made sure that we were showing something on the screen before the first person was even allowed to come in. You know, that way the people will be confused as to exactly where the picture was coming from.
That sounds quite wise.
Yeah. And the first person came in and people came in. It's a big theater that can seat about 1,500 people. And it was filled to capacity. People had to be turned out. And I was like scared because the professionals have made me understand that, look, video will never be accepted by the people.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for their reaction. Like, oh my God, let's start the film and see what is going to happen. And the time came and we started the film. And to my surprise and amazement, they laughed along, clapped along, and really enjoyed the film till the end. So that was a big relief, because then that means it's a breakthrough, you know, and that is how we started.
And the whole industry had started at that time. Now, your impressions about this Ghana Movie Festival that is going on, or that we have held here in Holland, your very impressions?
Yeah, I think it's been a very good education for the Dutch and for us, because before we came here, when Dr. Bridget Meyer, we've been worried here a lot about, oh, give us some exposure. And when she finally told us that, look, the time has come and I'm taking you people to Holland, we said the Netherlands. I said, wow, how are people going to receive our films? I mean, this is a different world and different people. But to my amazement, we came and we screened our films, and to my amazement, I was looking up to the reaction more of the Dutch people, because the Ghanaians already know these things, so I knew how they were going to react. But the Dutch people were like, they also accepted them and laughed along, you know, just like the Ghanaians, and that, I think, is very encouraging.
Great. I'll come back to you. But, Mike, once again, your very comments on the film festival.
Just like Willie has said, I think it's been very, very successful. Looking at the way the Dutch people especially react in the theaters, and then after every screening of each film, the way they talk to us, ask questions, and that kind of thing. I think it's been very, very successful, and I hope this thing will continue.
Great.
Yeah.
Now tell us what it takes to do a film, the obstacles that come your way, the difficulties that you go through, and some of the easy things that help you to come out with a particular Ghanaian film.
Coming out with a video, I think the easiest thing which help us a lot is the format we are using.
When you say format, what do you mean?
The video
or the camera
the
format?
Camera
okay.
format, we are using. And then there are other problems we used to encounter. That is, most of our artists are all workers, and some of them you have to smuggle them from the workplaces to locations quickly to pay their roles and then go back to their workplaces. And normally during weekends they are free, but during weekdays, if they are not able to finish their roles during the weekend and it eats up into the weekdays, and these kind of problems comes in. And then we are faced with locations. I mean, lots of people, I think, don't understand what actually film making is. Most people think if they give out their homes, later they will be attacked by armed robbers and that kind of thing. But some of them give us their premises to use. And then the other problems is also on costumes. In those earlier days, we don't have a company who takes care of costumes. See, so sometimes you have to pay some of the artists to use their costumes or go to second-hand clothes dealers and buy costumes from them. But of late, some of the designer houses have been giving us these designer costumes, and it has been very helpful.
One of your films, it's about your latest film, Namisha, is being exhibited at this festival, and Namisha happens to be a very impressive, as I should say. But just my viewers would want to know a little about this Namisha.
Namisha is about a man who, in the process of making money for himself, has to fall on an elemental spirit. He was given powers to use. At the end, he misused the powers, kill, loot, to make money from himself, and at the end, he has to die.
So he had to pay for his evil doing.
Yeah, he has to pay for
because
his
it's very common in Ghanaian films that if you do evil, you have to pay for it.
Yes.
Great. That brings us to the issue of magic in Ghanaian movies. Willie, tell us about the use of magic and supernatural powers in Ghanaian movies.
Magic, okay. I'll say more that it's not like magic as such, but is the belief of the people. You know, we are not magicians, we are not playing with magic here, but it is the belief of the people. A lot of people believe whatever happens to them has some external force to it. And it's like I'm poor and I feel I'm not just poor. I'm poor because somebody is making me poor. Instead of thinking that, look, I have to work harder. If I work on one job, let me work 2 jobs and see if I could be rich. No. A normal Ghanaian would think, oh, I'm not rich because I have to consult why somebody, either a witch doctor, a spiritualist, to find out why I am poor. Then they go to a spiritual person and they have ready-made answers. Oh, you know what, I think your poverty should come from your auntie, you know, from your grandfather, at times even from your own mother. And it's so surprising and a bit alarming because then they actually put a lot of people into conflict. Like she doesn't, she's in war with the mother because some spiritualists at one time or one point have told her that the mother is the cause of his or her problems. So here we tend to use how the people think. They think there are a lot of external forces around. You buy the papers, you see them write about witches, and a lot of people talk about witches like is said earlier by one of my colleagues. So it's not actually magic, but it's witchcraft, juju, and all that, and that's what we try to portray in our films. It's actually the belief of the people.
We saw your film, The Reward, in this festival. And can you briefly tell my viewers about The Reward?
The Reward is it didn't have much to do with juju or spirit or anything, but yeah, but it has a little to do with that because in the reward, it was like there was this man who this girl fell in love with this guy. The guy was poor. He now makes a lot of money and dumps her and goes for another woman, which he was craving for, but didn't have the money at the time. But so now that he has the money, he thinks he can go for such a girl. And somewhere in the film you see that it was not just ordinarily, because the love was being influenced by some external forces, and those forces were forces that were coming from the mother, because the mother was actually preparing concoctions and bits and pieces of juju and giving it to the girl to use. Yeah.
A viewer out there might not have ever seen any Ghanaian movie and is contemplating on whether to choose between a Ghanaian movie and a film from Hollywood or somewhere else, and that viewer might be contemplating. How can you convince him or her to, in terms of which to choose?
I always choose something new, because I watch a lot of foreign films myself. You know, if you're a Dutch and you've seen a lot of films made here, I mean, they always follow the same pattern. Or Hollywood. Hollywood is like somebody who definitely tote a gun and kill people. And you know, and what amazes me about these Hollywood films is that somebody may have just a gun and will keep shooting the gun and will shoot like 20 rounds, and you wonder that, oh, can this little gun contain 20 bullets, you know?
But never get finished.
Yeah. And so definitely in a Hollywood movie, that's what we are expecting to see. And definitely someone is going to get naked and laid, you know. But I would like to, if I was that person, I would like to see something different from a different culture and see how they also live there. Because our films are not only about people. We'll show you, because in most of the Ghanaian films, we show you what it is like to drive in Accra, you know. And I remember in one of the sessions, somebody turned to me because he knew I was sitting right behind me. Is that Accra? I said, yes. Oh, this is so we show you the beauty of Accra and how Ghana looks like. So definitely it's like, oh, I'm in a different world for the moment. Who knows,
maybe one day you will travel to, the person will travel to Accra.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Now, Mike, I realize from most of the movies that we have seen that the theme, as it is always centered around a certain angle, that a man and wife, they're living, the man leaves for another woman, and at the end of the day, the poor, prayerful, and Christian housewife emerges as the hero, as it is, and the man is punished, and sometimes the girlfriend also goes through some punishment. Why is the theme so? Why is it so? Is it because the Ghanaian people are having these problems here and there? Why is it so?
Yeah, the stories you see in our films are stories that are centered around the people. It happens all the time. People go and watch movies, and then they come out to say, yes, this has happened to my auntie, or has happened to me, or it has happened to my brother before. So we filmmakers in Ghana tell stories that are around us. That is why you find all these kind of things, man chasing woman, that kind of thing. There are stories that centered around us. Yeah.
It's also interesting for you filmmakers to note that, personally, that is what I think, that these issues of relationships that have to do with broken hearts and all those things, I personally think that they are not just local, they are not just limited to Ghana, but quite international. A lot of people have had a lot of problems with their marriages, and very good surgeons cannot diagnose their own marriage because these are matters of the heart. And by that, I want to ask you if there are any plans of reaching out to the outside world like we are having here with the same message.
Yeah, we have plans. I mean, we started from somewhere. If you look at our films about 10 years ago, and then look at our films now, you will see the differences. And I I think we have actually moved forward, and we are moving forward. Now we are in Holland. Maybe in future, maybe in Belgium, Germany, Britain, or America, or that kind of thing. So this is the first step, and this festival is the first of its kind outside Ghana.
Yeah.